Well, speaking of these shitty ones, how about like, what's your first like crazy Hollywood or New York City night when you're like, man, I can't believe I'm here hanging out with these people, or when you're just like, holy shit, this is crazy.
Does it have to be Hollywood?
No, or it could be anywhere, or Detroit, or anywhere.
Okay. I was 24, maybe. Yes, 2005. So 23, 22 at the time. And I get a call from Mark Ridley, actually, and he's like, hey, what are you doing tonight? Do you want to open for Dave Chappelle? And this was like at his height. And he was my hero. And I was like, I was hungover as shit too. And I was like, yeah. I would love to do that. And I'm like, where am I going? And he's like, it's the Eastern Michigan basketball arena. And it was 7,000 people.
Holy shit.
And yeah, like after the show, Dave Chappelle came up to me and was like, you were electric, and like just hugged me. And I was just like, how the fuck, like 2 years ago, I was in like community college watching his TV show with friends. And somehow I had just lucked out that in this short amount of time, I was now like on stage with him playing arenas, which he doesn't even do anymore. He'll just do theaters, you know? And it's like, I got to open for him at like that height. And that was something that was like, cause he was my hero. It was like the coolest thing imaginable.
That's so, and obviously you crushed it if he came and gave you a hug. And
yeah, it was funny. It went really well. I crushed for 15 minutes and then I brought him out and, he didn't come out. So I said, I'll be right back. And I walk off and his manager's like, he's not ready yet. And I'm like, okay, so what do I do? They're like, just go tell him it'll be a minute. These people are standing out of their seats.
Yeah.
So I go up and I go, it's just going to be another minute. I went from 7,000 people loving me to booing me.
Yeah.
And then I get off stage, which the feeling of that is just, I went from the greatest feeling to the worst a human being could ever feel. And I walk off and then I come back on and I bring him out and he goes crazy. And he's like, you shouldn't have booed him, give it up for him. And then they clapped and I was relieved. And this guy just goes, where were you? And he goes, I was watching a DVD, motherfucker. And that was his opening line.
Which I'm sure they loved.
Oh, they loved it. And then it was close to 3.5 hours he did. And just absolutely. And I sat on a nearby speaker and didn't move the whole time.
So he's the best. I mean, and he's the coolest, nicest.
Yeah.
We always talk about on here how they say you don't want to meet your heroes unless it's comedians, because the bigger the fucking better for me.
I've been the same as you, man. I with the exception of like Michael Richards, everybody I've ever, well, and he fucked it up for himself anyway after that. But everybody who I ever had met that I looked up to has always been very cool to me.
That's awesome. Wait, Michael Richards was a dick?
Huge cock, yeah. Comedy and Magic Club.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was. You know, there's the 2 rooms there.
Mm-hmm.
I was hosting in the other room, and he goes, "Hey, Michael Richards is here." You know, the manager, Richard, goes, "Michael Richards is here. You can go get his intro. He's going to go up after Larry Miller." And mind you, there's like Larry Miller, Kevin Nealon. You know how that club is. Like, it's you always feel like, oh fuck, how am I here? This isn't, you know.
Well, and just nobody's a dickhead there. It's like the nicest, best comedy club environment probably I've ever been in.
Oh yeah, dude, 100%. They just immediately, it's, what can we get you to eat? Can we, you know, they're so nice. And I go, he's doing push-ups in that area between the 2 clubs, and I walk over and I go, hey, I just wanted, he goes, do you see that I'm fucking busy? And I go, look, I'm sorry, I didn't. And he stands up and he brushes himself off. I go, I didn't mean to offend you. I'm hosting the show, and I go to shake his hand. I go, I didn't want to get off on the wrong foot. He goes, looks at my hand. He goes, I don't do that.
Oh God.
And I'm like, okay. I go, look, I just wanted to get your intro. And he goes, what the fuck do you think my intro is? Jesus. And I said, yeah. And I'm wondering, like, is he fucking with me? But then I turned from looking at this guy as a hero pretty quick to just like, well, you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
So I said, I don't know. What do you want? Seinfeld? And he goes, oh, so I'm a wash up? And I go, well, this is why I'm asking you for an intro. You want me to say trial and error? And he goes, yeah, it's real funny. He goes, here's what you do. You go up on stage, you say you know him as Kramer from Seinfeld, and then you get off. You don't wait up there. You don't shake my hand. You get off that stage so I can get on. And after I'm done, you can go up once I'm off that stage. Do you get it? And I'm like, yeah.
Man.
So I go to bring him up on stage, and Larry just is killing. And then I go up and I decide I'm just going to do a couple minutes, my best jokes. And then I bring him up, and I stood on stage with a shit-eating grin and my hand out, and I made him shake it.
Yeah.
And he gets up there, and the crowd goes nuts. I mean, they are thrilled to see this guy, but I have never in my life seen somebody go from that reaction to just hated. I mean, he was so bad. I can't even explain. What he did was he pulled out a little cocktail sword from out of a cherry and was pretending to swashbuckle the air, saying that he used to be in like the army and all he had was a tiny little sword, and then he would and nobody was laughing. And he goes to say goodnight to this smattering of applause, and I ran up and tried to get another handshake, but I couldn't get it. He just like he half patted my back, you know, and I loved it because I was like, "Hey, everybody, wasn't that great? Isn't he good?" and after I think it was like Rodman or somebody, whoever it was, just came up and destroyed, but. It was just funny because you could get the vibe from like Richard and everybody that they knew Michael was such a piece of shit, but didn't want to actually tell me. And it was honestly maybe 2 or 3 weeks later that I turned on the news and he was screaming the N-word on at the Laugh Factory over and over again. I could have jacked off. It was so great to watch.
Yeah, now he'd be dying to shake your hand.
No, I know. That's what it's like. Other than that, like I met Jerry, and people said he was a dick, and he's at Gotham, and he was very nice to me. You know, I wouldn't say he was outwardly like super kind, but he certainly wasn't rude or